It stays there. It didn't hit me until 22 years later, and that was terrible. I'd go to bed. I carried mail near Lititz for 30-some years. I'd go to bed, I'd feel fine. You get awake and you're crying, you're sobbing. I said to Betty, my wife would say, "What's wrong?" I said, "I don't know." And then I'd go out and sit in the chair in the living room and still sob, and I still didn't feel bad. And then, of course, my neighbor was a doctor, Dr. Holder, and he said, "It's got you what you call post-traumatic syndrome." He said, "It's in your head and you can't get it out." But those things happen to everybody. Listen, I had a buddy in Cornwall. You know where Cornwall is? Between Liz and he killed his wife. He cracked up. His name was Carl R. Dobb. He was the calmest guy I had in the whole squad. One day he got out of his foxhole. He had such pretty white teeth, and he took some snow and melted it to rinse his mouth out, and the German sniped at it. The bullet hit the canteen, and he was the calmest guy I had. Well, he cracked up. When 89, he cracked up, and his wife sent him to the Veterans Hospital. He had shock treatments, and he came home again, and he was feeling pretty good. And when he started to go again, he'd go to a restaurant and say, "My name is Carl R. Dobb. I'm a Malmedy Massacre. I'm a survivor of the Malmedy Massacre," and I never hurt anybody. And that's the way what he do. And she sent him up. She said, "Carl, if you don't see her down, I'm going to send you up back to the VA hospital." He said, "No, you're not." He said, "I've been through hell twice in my life, the massacre and the shock treatments." And he took a claw at her and killed her. That's true.
He was missing for a year.
Yeah, he was missing for a whole year.
Yeah, he took off and came down looking for him.
The police were checking my house.
Yeah.
I had detectives, state police, because they asked the family, they wanted to sell his estate. They asked the family if they have any idea who might be harboring him. And he said, "Sketch Mearig and Lititz." And they came in and questioned me for a whole afternoon.
But he wanted to come after you because he thought you were responsible for the massacre.
Bill?
Dobb, yeah, don't you remember? You had that, he had 24-hour police protection
Yeah.
when he was first missing.
Yeah. Well, we were good buddies. We were real good buddies. Any more questions? Betty, Lisa?
How long did you serve? Did you serve the whole war?
How long were you in? 4 years?
I was in 3 years and 2 months.
3, so not the whole war.
Yeah. I should have came home earlier, but they kept me over there longer for his travels. Then after we came home, they sent 3 guys back again, and one of them was just called out. He went back at the Nuremberg, Dachau. The trial was in Dachau. That's where it used to be a concentration camp.
Yeah.
What did you say he killed his wife with?
A hammer. You know how a hammer, one end, the hammer was, and the other end you take nails out with? That's the, or part of
I
you
took
take nails out with.
my chin straps off.
No, she asked about the hammer.
Is there anything else? Oh, they wrote a book on the Malmedy Massacre. I have that. Oh, I have that, but I've got pictures right in the middle of it. But don't show that. Oh, here.
Oh, don't show that. My pictures are good, don't show
Here's what I looked like when the first month I was in the Army. Big difference, isn't it? I was 18 years old. See how you changed in all these years?
it. He's only 21 now.
What's not anything else in there?
I don't know, but you have more questions?
What's your question?
How did you get the nickname Sketch?
How would you get the nickname Sketch?
Well, I'll tell you, when I went to school here, first grade to 12th grade, every year we had an art teacher. Once a week, she'd come in our class and give us art class. And every period, she'd draw a charcoal sketch of her best pupil. And this year, I was best pupil. And she said, "Go on up your sketch, I want to Robert you." And when we went outside to go home for lunch, everybody called, "Hey, Sketch, hey, Sketch." And I had it the whole time during the Army and everywhere. Because another thing, when I was in the Army, I was so shocked, you know. There was about 15 or 20 guys in the outfit from Lititz. I couldn't believe it. There was only 2 hours in B Company, and I got them both out of the Army because one boy, his name was Raymond Singer, he just passed away 2 weeks ago. He couldn't hear. When we played together, he couldn't hear. And when they gave an order, he couldn't hear, and I used to help him. And we'd march and say, "Now just watch your back of the neck." I said, "If I move my head this way or this way, that's the way we're going to go." And one day I got tired of it. After a retreat, I went to the captain. I said, "Captain," I said, "I'd like to talk to you." He said, "Sure." And I told him about Raymond Singer. He said, "Thanks a lot." And the next day he was sent home. And every day he used to see me, He used to say, "Sketch, thanks for saving my life." Yeah. And his family, even after he died, his family wrote me a letter and said, "Carl always said, I saved his," Raymond, I mean, I always said, "I saved his life." I didn't save him. But we had fun. We had good times and bad times.
Dad, you have more questions?
Mr. Mearig, one of my girls wants to know, did you ever feel like giving up?
Giving up in the war?
Did you feel like giving up?
No, you don't feel like giving up. I don't know how did you feel, especially when all your buddies are killed. No, there's going to be a lot of deaths. There's Henry Chappelle Cemetery. There's 100 in the plot, and my company had 150 plot and a half. I was so lucky. I was never hit. There was only 3 of them never hit. I had one boy from Pittsburgh, Al Leslie. He was hit 3 times. He got 3 Purple Hearts. Every time he was from artillery. They were a machine gun. And, I can tell you the worst story about this thing. I think it's so gruesome, but.
One of my boys wanted to know what you did to survive in the wilderness. How did you get through that?
When you were lost in the woods, how did you keep going? Like when you ate your pine needles and snow and stuff?
Well, I knew that the Germans were going that way. That's
No.
Huh?
Like what did you eat and stuff?
All I did was, I'll tell you that, the pine trees, they had stumps, and out of those stumps grew branches. And I used to pull a handful of pine tree needles off of the tree and chew them, but I never swallowed. I just used to spit them out. But I'll swear I didn't sleep the whole time I was out there. I told them, I said, I never even, they said, "You had to sleep." Well, I didn't sleep. I was wide awake. I was just waiting for a chance to get out of there. Yeah, I was so lucky.
A boy in my class wanted to know what would you do once you left the Army?
What did you do when you
What was
got
your
out of
job?
the Army?
Well, I took a test to carry mail. And I carried mail here with this for 34 years and 7 months. I retired when I was 53. When I was 49, I had 30 years in. They said, "You can retire." I said, "Well, I don't want to retire at 41. Then I worked 4 more years and I quit. I got a part-time job.
Did you write any books?
Did you write any books?
No, but people are asking me all the time. They sure. Well, I had calls from Channel 6, Harrisburg, and everywhere. But
He does a lot of talks. He talks to a lot of schools.
I was not like a lot of college, so I'll go to psychology class. Want to know how I cope with what I went through. And I talked to Hempfield and Manor, all of them. I was here twice. And I talked to the last couple of years ago, down at John Bunfield, Mrs. McDonald, but I think I'm going to give it up now. It's not bad. It's not bad when I start, but the night before, it's pretty rough. I'm thinking I might miss something or can't sleep. It's still fun. But that's the way life is. You go through what you go through.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
What caliber was your gun?
What caliber was your gun?
Oh, God, don't ask me. I know first we traded with British Enfields, then we had M1s, then we had carbines.
They're different now.
Yeah, then we had about 30 caliber, I guess, I don't know.
They're
That's all I
good.
know, the bullets. Hanging on our shoulders and everywhere. But they all killed. Oh, yeah, we had a lot of accidents.